Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. So I will continue the topic from last week. Dr. Alais brought up a very interesting topic, which is how to recognize dysfunctional teams. So today I will try to finish. Topic is about how to deal with dysfunction team. Today you will be able to find a way or solution and hopefully build a better team. Okay. So let's start. This is my second seminar, short seminar in LTI. The first one was back in May 2022. And I was talking about how to build a high performance culture. So I will try to connect these two together, right? Just to recap, in that short seminar, basically I try to point out how basically these 6 points are very important when it comes to high performance culture. First is to create boundaries. Second is to create specialization. And number 3 is to be understanding with each other. Number 4 is to give autonomy. Number 5 is to create value. And number 6, to have a lot of empathy. Okay. Next, to recap last week, so we can be refreshed of the topic, basically the 5 dysfunction of team. First, from the bottom is basically absence of trust. Second, fear of conflict. Third is lack of commitment. Next will be avoidance of accountability. And number 5 is attention to result. Okay. Oh, and this is created by Patrick Lencioni around 2002. So this has been used about 20 years. So I believe this is quite appropriate for recognize or try to diagnose dysfunctional in a team. Okay. So let's talk about the first dysfunction, absence of trust. This is a team where they don't trust each other. Probably they are new, probably they are come from different background, and basically they don't like to show their weakness to each other, or in bahasa Indonesia we call it jaim, jaga image. Yeah, and we find it quite a lot in Indonesia. Yeah, because we like to say, okay, I don't want to be judged badly by the other people, right? So I rather to show my fake self rather than my true self. Yeah, the symptoms are the members conceal weakness and mistake from each other. Yeah, they don't ask for help or piece of advice, hesitate to offer as assistance when it's outside their own area of responsibility. So, for example, if I'm responsible of making document, yeah, and then the other people, let's say, having difficulty of creating a PowerPoint, for example, for their presentation, I would say, no, I don't want to give, rather than I got blame for creating a bad PowerPoint. Yeah, rather not to help. Next is hesitate to offer feedback or compliment even one skill. Yeah, and finally, hate meetings and avoid spending time together. I hope in your team that you have at this moment, this does not happen, because, well, this is my personal belief. Trust is the core value in everything. Without trust, there is no such thing as a team. Yeah. So if your result from last week showed that you have absence of trust, hopefully this solution can help you. And the solution are, first, we need to create what we call specialization. Focus on individual strength rather than weaknesses. Meaning every member of your team should have what they're good at. Well, as we have Pauli here. Pauli is a member of my team in secondary department, and he's very, very special because he has a very special skill, basically dealing with the government regulation, how to create document required by the government. And I rely heavily on Pauli when creating a document required by our government, whether it's from IGNAS, whether it's from other government institution. All right. So I focus on his strength. And second, build confidence between members of the team. And this is sometimes difficult. Yeah. Because if you praise one, you might say, why you always praising member of the team? Why you never praised me? Right? So don't create anak to build confidence equally. Okay? Not only focus on individual strength, but you need to appreciate it as well. Yeah. Again, Paul is here. He's the pioneer of creating a double-deck system in secondary department in Temasek Independent School. And I forever will be grateful to him about creating this double-deck system in our school. In the past, we heavily depended on other party, third party, outside party to deal with our very important data. Now, we can deal with our own data, right? We have control of our data, but thanks to Paul. Number 3, build culture, focus on making mistake. Mistake is not the end of the world. Yeah, mistake will always happen. Never ever penalize mistake. No, not penalize. Never ever stigmatize mistake. Yeah, as long as people can learn from their mistake, something good will happen. Yeah, so never ever stigmatize mistake. Because once you stigmatize mistake, you make it as a big thing, right? People will say, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to try something new. Why? If I try something new and it doesn't work and I make mistake, I got blamed. So why should I? Right? And that culture is bad. Obviously, you don't want people to keep making the same mistake over and over again. So what I mean by build culture focus on making mistake is that to make it as a learning tool for the team to become better in the future. Okay. And if the dysfunctional number 1, which is absence of trust, can be resolved, and this is the result. First, people are feel comfortable working together towards a common goal. Every team has a common goal, whether it's well, in school, actually, a common goal is to create a better learning experience for our students, for example. Second, if you are in a company, for example, you want to create a better performance, right, for your member, for example, or you want to make a record profit, for example, there must be a common goal. Second, the result is that people, the team can quickly react to issues that are no longer silenced. Yeah? There's usually this small thing, yeah, that people say, oh, better not say lah. And when people trust each other, they can happily share their secret with each other. And that's a good thing. Number 3, teams can prevent mistake by giving timely feedback and assistance to each other. Yeah. Members of the team will not be perfect. They are not perfect. Yeah. But having that trust, they can say, okay, I don't think your way is the best, yeah, but it can be improved. Yeah. And by giving that feedback, people will say, okay, that makes sense. Why not? Yeah. And number 4, motivate each other by appreciating other skill and strength. So that's dysfunction number 1. Okay, let's move on to dysfunction number 2. Dysfunction number 2 is fear of conflict. I remember what Dr. Elias called this, keharmonisan palsu, and it is very common in Indonesia. Again, jaim, keharmonisan palsu is very common. People in this country usually try to fake harmony. Yeah, because they need to show, oh, we are a good team, we're always happy with each other. But believe it or not, life is not always happy. It's not all about rainbows and candies, right? There will be conflict. And when you fear conflict, usually bad things will happen. Yeah, so the symptoms are they hesitate to voice opinion and concern. In this today's days and age, right? Every opinion there will be pro and cons. Some topic will be very sensitive, yeah, but those topics usually very important to discuss. Your team has dysfunction or fear of conflict. They will not say anything. Yeah? They will not say the opinion they believe or they even their concern. Number two, ignore controversial topic, even if they have potential to determine team success. Number three, have more interpersonal conflict and personal attack. Now, this is something that I really hate. When you don't like working with people, you should aim it in their professional life. Never ever turn that into personal attack. If people make mistake in their work, for example, yeah, well, just say that, okay, you make mistake. This is what you should do to become better, rather than you say a bad thing about their personally. Yeah. And number four, have back channel communication in politics. Woo! As your position higher, yeah, the higher your position is, the more politics you will deal with, right? Because you obviously wants to keep your team member, for example, if they are a good one, or you want to get another team member that is from another team, for example, all that stuff. Yeah. And we all have limited resources. Yeah. So politics is always there in the team, outside the team, or inter-team. But if we don't fear conflict, hopefully those politics are minimized. Yeah. All right. Next, this is the solution. Hopefully, yeah. So the first is to cultivate culture. No idea is bad idea. It can be interpreted into two things. Yeah? Meaning, if you don't get any idea, that's a very bad idea. Yeah. Or second interpretation, meaning that every idea can have a potential to become a good one. Yeah. Okay. And second, you need to assign members, yeah, and to become a devil advocate. What is a devil advocate, by the way? Well, devil advocate is someone who always point out mistake of other people. And that's usually me. Yeah, I usually become the devil advocate. The thing that I want to create the culture, yeah, continuation from my first seminar, is to create empathy and understanding. When you become a devil advocate, trust me, you will get attacked. Yeah, and people will try to attack you personally. But remember, remind your team, I become your devil advocate because I want to train you to become a critical thoughts. Yeah, if you just give an idea, yeah, without thinking it through, without considering many variables, then usually that idea is a bad one. Having these three solutions, yeah, hopefully you can pick one or two. This is the result. Leverage diversity and exploit the idea of everyone on the team. Isn't it great if everyone give idea, so you have more diversity and you can choose the idea that suit your needs, right? Suit the needs of your team. And second, your team can quickly solve the problem. Yeah. If nobody wants to say anything, I don't think the problem will be solved, right? And third, openly discuss critical topic and concern. Let me give you an example about this. Temasek Independent School, we had event. And during the planning of the event, there are many things that need to be discussed. One of the critical topic is who should become the speaker of the main event. There are many options, but the things that we are looking for is the best of the best. If people are afraid of voicing their opinion and concern, I don't think we will have a successful event. We probably had a bad speaker who don't know what they are talking about, for example, or we might have a competent speaker, but not a proper planning. So we need to eliminate the fear of conflict, because conflict, especially a productive conflict, is good for the team. And number four, like I said just now, is to minimize the politics. Because believe it or not, I really hate the politics, especially the higher you go. Now, let's move on to dysfunction number 3. Lack of commitment. I've been burned by this one so many times. People say me, okay, don't worry, I will stay for another 2-3 months, and they just gone tomorrow. Or they will say that, oh, don't worry, I can handle it. And suddenly they just not be able to handle it. So this is quite personal for me, lack of commitment. So the symptoms of the team that have dysfunction are lack of confidence and are in fear of failure. Second, discuss the same topic or decision over and over again. 3, make ambiguity and second guessing thrive. Ambiguity in bahasa is called kebingungan. It's sort of nggak jelas. And second guessing basically, oh, hang on, what do you mean by that? And that's a waste of time. But the final symptoms are fail to seize opportunity by spending too much time on making decisions. In the Temasek Independent School, I belong to maybe 4 or 5 teams. One of the teams that I belong to, when we make decision, is usually very fast. We don't spend too much time. Considering variables or other things is important, but that's not the most important. When decision need to be made, it need to be made quickly and carefully. So do not waste too much time, because time is very valuable. The solution: have a clear set of rules of making key decision. Who can make key decision, for example, and what can be considered as a key decision. So you need to be clear. Second, have a clear set of rules about communication. Who can communicate the decision? How they can communicate the decision, for example. Number 3, discuss about the possibility of failures or worst case scenario. I don't know about this, but some people just doesn't want to discuss anything about anything related to the failure. They just afraid. If they discuss it, they're going to jinx it. Okay, it's going to happen if we discuss it. No, it's not. Well, the possibility of failure or the worst case scenario is important to be discussed, because we need to prepare for the worst. We obviously hope for the best, but we need to prepare for the worst. Number 4, define clear deadlines. When you say it's Monday, what date, what time, and when and how the product is going to deliver, for example. Not just say, oh, next week. Next week means what? It can be from Monday until Sunday. It can be from 7 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock in the evening. So when you set a deadline, when your team set a deadline, it needs to be clear. And every member of the team needs to know and understand the deadline. And finally, one of the solutions is do not micromanage. You need to give autonomy to your team members. I really hate, this is my personal belief, I really hate being micromanaged. Just give me the deadline. Just tell me what I need to achieve and leave me alone. I will try to figure out on my own. But some people need a little bit more guideline. The thing is, micromanage is not just giving a guideline. You tell them, okay, this is what you should do. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. If you don't do this step, you are wrong. That's basically micromanage. And that's the thing that you cannot do in your team. Okay? The result, 1, clearly understand work direction and priority. Yeah. So which one need to be finished first, for example? Which one is urgent and important? Which one is urgent? Which one is important? Right? Second, share common goals and objectives. When people understand what they need to do and when they need to deliver the product, they will share common goals and objectives. Number 3, be ready to change. Basically, they are ready if change come to your team. Yeah. Number 4, not let the fear of mistake prevent it from moving forward. Mistake will happen. Yeah. Failure will happen. But by deciding from the very beginning, or this is what we're going to do, yeah. And if it's fail, then we know, oh, please learn from it and don't do it again next time. Let's move on to dysfunction number 4. We're almost there. Avoidance of accountability. Last week, I gave Lencioni test to my team, one of my team. I gave it to all the members. They filled the test. And in this team, they only have one dysfunction, which is avoidance of accountability. I was surprised. I thought that this team doesn't have any dysfunction, but it does. So I see the questions, yeah, I read the question again, and I look at the data, and the result is still the same. So I discuss it with the members of the team. But before I go any further, this is the symptoms of team that have dysfunction of avoidance of accountability. First, make high performance discouraged. Well, if you are the member who actually doing all the work, right? And you are not being, and let's say the other members who are not doing anything, they are not being punished or being accountable, then obviously you will not do anything at the end. Right? Second, you're going to miss deadline after deadline after deadline after deadline because your team doesn't have the responsibility, doesn't have the pride, yeah, of actually achieving that deadline. 3, make team leaders overwhelmed as the sole source of discipline. Yeah, it's always the team leader who say, okay, you're doing something wrong, please don't do that again. This is not right, please don't do that again. And nobody wants to correct each other. And finally, remain mediocre. Ya biasa-biasa aja. It's not something special. This is the 3 solutions. First, having regular progress review or regular meeting. By the way, the meeting here, it doesn't have to be long. In Temasek Independent School, every 2 weeks, all the departments sit together. Well, actually, 2 departments sit together, which is counted about 90% of the students, primary and secondary. And those meetings usually only last about 20 minutes. The regular meeting here is not the time to curhat. Yeah. It's actually to give, okay, this is the progress. This is something that you need to know. This is something that, will happen in the next 2 weeks that you should know. Yeah. So when I say regular progress review, it's not curhat. Yeah. So it's actually a productive meeting. Second, reward team achievement, not individual. When you reward individual achievement, you will create a gap between the team members. And you don't want that. So when the team achieves something, you reward it as a whole team. It can be as simple as buying lunch for everybody, for example, yeah, or buying snacks for everybody. Is to build that, oh, we are as a team and we need to achieve this together. I cannot do it alone. And number three, creating culture of high standard of performance. This solution is very tricky, difficult, and exhausting. High standard of performance is not in everybody. And people who has high standard of performance usually is called perfectionists. Well, I take it that as a compliment, but to eliminate this dysfunction, yeah, we need to have a high standard of performance. Not a good standard of performance, but high. Yeah. So sit down together with your team member, yeah, and then start creating what is or what are can be included in the high standard of performance. Quickly identify problems by questioning each other action and approaches. When you read this, you might probably think, oh, kepo ya. No, this is not kepo. Yeah. This is basically having a critical feedback about other people's action. For example, if you have a team member that is always late in the morning, why don't you ask him or her, hey, what's wrong? You seems to be late all the time. Is that something I can do, for example? Or is that something wrong that I can help? By doing that, people feel like, oh, hang on, I cannot be late, because they will affect the whole team. Second, respect their team and the organization for applying the same standard for everyone. So that is why one of the solutions is to create a high standard of performance by sitting together with your team members. You cannot just have your high standard of performance. You need to be a team high standard of performance, because your standard of high performance can be different. For example, maybe too high, maybe too low. Yeah. So the team need to decide. Number three, avoid excessive management of performance, fine and corrective action. How do I explain this in a way that is easy to understand? Basically, when teams are not doing well, they're missing a lot of deadlines, for example, and not achieving their goals, the higher up usually give a lot of fines, a lot of corrective actions. The goal of the punishment is a good one, usually. Yeah, because you want to punish a bad behavior and awarding good behavior. However, not every team, well, I'm going to say not everyone like to be punished. Yeah, usually by someone with a higher position, because they might think, hang on, you in the higher position, you don't know what I'm going through now. You don't know what's happening here now. Yeah, we don't have the enough tools to do our work, for example. We are not trained enough, for example. Yeah, but the higher up might say, okay, I don't care. You're not achieving your goal. I'm going to punish you. Yeah. So by having the same standard for everyone in the team, and you decide that standard, high standard of performance, you avoid that disappointment. You avoid that frustration. And finally, number four, you pressure the poor performers to improve. And I think this is peer pressure. Let's say that you are a member of a team. Yeah? Everyone else but you are always on time, never miss a deadline. But you are the only one who are always late and always miss a deadline. Or basically, you don't want to feel that you giving the burden to your team. So you will improve yourself, whether you like it or not. Okay, finally, the last dysfunction is inattention to result. People say that the process is more important than the result. Well, not exactly. For me, personally, process and result are both important. If we don't achieve a good result, then what's the point? Yeah. But if we don't use a good process to achieve the result, then what's the point? So the symptoms: lose achievement-oriented team members. This is basically happen when the team, let's say, are selfish. Yeah, they have a big ego, and they say, "Okay, I can do it. Don't worry, I will handle it. You don't need to worry. I will do everything." And suddenly the other member, okay, then why should we help you? Huh? You do you lah. The second symptom: get distracted from collective goal easily, because you want to achieve your own goal. That's why you got distracted easily. Yeah? So basically you are putting your ego above the team, and that's a big no-no. Number three, the team fail to develop because the team members only focus on themselves, not team as a whole. And number four, you lose the market competition. You will lose, your team will lose to the team that actually work as a team, not 4 individuals or 5 individuals. Right. Right. The solution are having a clear key performance index or KPI. Yeah. It need to be decided from the very beginning. Okay. And number 2, reward team achievements. And number 3, use strength-based approach. Every individual is always good at something. Like I mentioned just now, Pauli is very good with administration, making a document. Yeah. The other team members, one of my teachers, are very good when it comes to making a presentation. Okay. He's very clear. Yeah. So always use the strength-based approach. Yeah. Never, well, when I say never point out their weakness, it's not always right. Yeah. Obviously, you want to improve the weakness, right? To make sure it's not become a burden for the team. But strength-based approach works better. Okay. And hopefully you will get this result. Minimize individualistic behavior. Yeah. Finally, you work as a team. Avoid a rising distraction. Yeah. Because if you share the common goal, you will work towards that goal. And number 3, you enjoy development and success.
Terima kasih banyak Bapak Ibu sekalian. Sampai kita ketemu minggu depan dengan topik yang lebih menarik.